Hi everyone, in this video I'll be showing you how you can use the Karamba.ini file to edit the default settings of your installation. This Karamba.ini file can be found in the Karamba folder of your installation. There is a shortcut if you use the standard program installation to locate this folder, and this is typically the plugins folder of your Karamba file installation. Here you will find the Karamba.ini file. You will need to make sure that you have user administrator rights in order to be able to edit this file. I have now made a copy onto my desktop, and you can use any text editor to edit or open this file as such. Once you open this file, you'll see that there is a large range of text which is displayed in different colors in my text editor, which I'm using Notepad++. What is important to note is anything that is a note or a comment is designated with this hashtag, and anything that is valid is now indicated in this blue text, as you can see. So what you can basically do is activate or deactivate parts of this ini file by adding or removing a hashtag in a particular line. Now we'll just go through some of the main features of the ini file. So here you can see the units that can be used in Karamba. My installation is currently set to metric. That's why the SI is activated. If you want to switch to imperial, you can do so by removing the hashtag there and adding a hashtag in front of the SI. You can change the internal units in Karamba itself, and you can also edit or change the custom units also in Karamba. Here you can specify the value of gravity. At the moment it is set to 10 meters per square second. If you're changing to imperial, make sure to also change the value of gravity appropriately. There are some settings to adjust the tolerances in Karamba, for example, the limit distance and the limit parallel. Here you can activate some of these custom components called the parametric user interface, which my colleague Georg has shown in a previous video. Make sure to have a look at this video if you're interested in these features. Then we have some settings to control the legend output of the model view, shell view, and beam view components. We can set the numerical outputs as well as the colors that are specified as the default colors for our legends for different mapping of values on our beams and shells. We're also able to specify the default colors for our mapping of stresses as well as cross-section forces in our cross-sections. Here you can control the text height and offset of specific values in the model view output. You can also set the color of this text. So this could be, for example, the cross-section names as well as the element IDs or the reaction forces in your model. Next, we have some specific information on how you can set the custom graphic user interface of standard components in Karamba. We are also able to edit the default settings of our material properties of steel, concrete, and reinforcement steel in Karamba3D. For mesh outputs from beams and shelves, we can also decide if we want to add caps, if we want to weld these meshes together, which is default set to true to increase the rendering speed. Lastly, we have some additional inputs on how you can change the colors of the shell section component. So that's it for the quick run through of the Karamba.ini file, and now we're going to look into a bit more detail on some of these specific features. Now I've just opened a simple Karamba definition with a few beam elements as well as a couple of shell elements. We can see here that they have different cross sections defined. Here is trapezoidal as well as a rectangular hollow section, a solid pipe as well as a pipe with a specific cross-section and a couple of different shell cross-sections. If we look at the output of the model view, we can see that I have activated my element IDs as well as my cross-section names, and usually these are shown in the same spot, so if you have these activated, we cannot see these at the same time. If I look at my beam view mesh output and the shell view mesh output, we have here a mesh as the standard output, one single mesh which has been joined together. I can use the disjoint mesh component to basically split all of these meshes which are not joined together, and I can have separated meshes rather than the single welded mesh as you see here. Now let's go in and change some of the settings in our ini file. I'm going to close my Grasshopper and Rhino, and now I'm going to scroll up and edit some of our values inside this ini file. What I want to specify is I want to activate our parametric user interface by setting this to true. I also want to change the text size of our cross-section names. So here I'm going to specify this to 50 and the height to also be 50, and let's set a different color. So this ini file uses standard Windows colors for defining these colors. So for example, here is a table of standard colors that we can use and pick rather than using the RGB code, for example. So here we can pick, for example, powder blue. And the last thing I want to also edit is our mesh capping. We're going to set capping to false, meaning that the ends of our beams will no longer be capped. We can set the welding for the shells as well as the beams to be also false. Now I'm going to save this ini file, and I'm just going to basically drag and drop this into our original folder where this ini file is saved, making sure to confirm. And now we just have to open Rhino once again. Now I've opened up the same definition after overriding the IMI file, and now you can see that the output is slightly different. I have my cross-sections name turned on, and you can see that the text now is much larger than it was previously, and now it's in this powder blue color that I specified. When we look at our meshes, we will see the standard output from our mesh is now a list of various meshes. If I scroll into and zoom in on our mesh, you will even see that this is now an open mesh. We can check this by looking at our mesh edges, and any edge which is in the E1 list are naked edges, meaning that these are now open meshes, as you see following. The shell view no longer also is capped. We have now a top and a bottom surface for each of our shell elements. Lastly, we also activated the parametric UI components, and if I go to the Karamba tab, you will see now we have a new tab called X1 Parametric UI, and I have these components in my Karamba panel. So that's it for this short video to explain some of the features of the Karamba.ini file and how you can change the default settings in Karamba3D. Thank you for listening.